He's bold, he's brash. Some people love him, some people hate him. And recently, he stepped onto the land that no president in a history of this country has ever done so. Hey, this is Dr. Ron Eccles with Going Vertical Coaching. You know, just recently in the news, we saw that President Donald Trump went into into North Korea. He stepped across the border from South Korea into North Korea with the chairman of that country. Now, the news is blowing up all over this, and whether you love or hate the president, I'm going to ask you to do this. Honor the place, honor the position. And I'm going to share with you some of my thoughts on how crazy good this was. You see, I believe that Donald Trump is a disruptor. Now, I don't agree with everything he does. I don't agree with all of his positions on things. However, I do know this. So many people in this country were tired of the status quo, of the politicians, both Democrat and Republican, the people on the left and the people on the right, the conservatives and the liberals. People were tired of the same old thing. And finally, we have a president who's stirring things up. Now, you may not like that stirring up process, but I got to tell you, it's producing some massively good things. Number one, if President Obama, who I had great respect for, but I did not vote for him, had he done this, the news media would be praising him because they would say, this deserves another Nobel Prize, Man of the Year. But Donald Trump does it, and they condemn him. They think it's heresy. You see, politics is really weird. And people many times, and here's my point today for this, many people suffer from what's called confirmation bias. Now, see, I like disruptive things. I like things that kind of shake things up a little bit and get us out of our comfort zones, because no growth happens inside of a comfort zone. I believe that there's a potential that North Korea could come to grips and terms with the wrong path it's been on for a long time. And it could help create some freedom and prosperity for the many wonderful people that live in North Korea under some very tyrannical rule right now. But let me get back to the point. The point is this: confirmation bias. We many times have these glasses that give us our worldview. And not just a big worldview, but on many different areas. And we will not see things in its totality. We only filter information in through these glasses that fit, that confirm our pre-existing biases already. Now, where can that get us in trouble? You see, it gets us in trouble because it limits the scope of our understanding. It limits what we see. And here's the real benefit when you learn to expand your vision and get away from your confirmation biases. Number one is you're going to listen more to maybe people that have different opinions than you do. And it may help actually increase your overall concept of what's going on. It may change your ideology. It may shift you to help at least understand how other people are seeing things. And the more you understand about the way other people see things, the more you're able to relate with other people in a positive way. You see, even though some people politically are very different than I am, I want to know what they think. And more importantly, I want to know why they think that. Recently, I was listening to a person who was very much different than I am when it comes to the abortion issue. But I also want to hear why that person believes in what they believe. You see, I don't just immediately close my mind off because their opinion is different than mine. Because if I do that, and I have done that in the past, but I'm learning to break that pattern, because the more I can open my ears and my mind to understanding, the more information that comes in that allows me to filter it through not a bias, but rather my core values and principles. So let me explain the difference. Biases are prejudices that we form based upon past experiences. So if a person had a bad experience with, let's say, a person of another race or a group of people from another race, maybe they form a prejudice against an entire race of people because of a limited experience. Now, that would or that could produce what's called confirmation bias. Every time they see somebody of that race doing something wrong or doing something they perceive as wrong, it confirms what they've already determined to be true. But you see, core values act differently. My core values come from scriptural principles, from my faith in Jesus Christ. So those core values allow me to filter information coming in and to put it into its proper context and place. It doesn't permit me to have confirmation bias, but rather understand information as my worldview sees everything coming in through a biblical base. Those are the core values. That becomes the filtering mechanism for me. And if something doesn't pass through the filter, I'm a little bit more careful about my judgment towards it. I'll talk about judgment in another video. But for now, I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to challenge you. No matter whether you are of one political orientation or another, whether you are one faith or another, one ethnicity, one race, one sexual orientation, one gender, whatever it is, I'm going to hope you'll spend some time listening to other people, collecting more information, and expanding your filters away from confirmation biases. You have a broader worldview, but keep your core values intact. Hey, this is Dr. Ron with Going Vertical Coaching. If you like what I had to say, subscribe to this channel, like this particular post, share it with your friends, and leave a comment right here below. And I'll talk to you again real soon.